Ryan Day said Ohio State was healthier this week than they were a week ago, and the status report bears that out. Welcome to Lucas Oil Stadium. It is Saturday, Championship Saturday. Ohio State number 1 against Indiana number 2. That's Jeremy Birmingham. I am Austin Ward. These are the Pregame Keys on 97.1 The Fan and 10 TV. Nothing questionable about it for Jeremiah Smith. Nothing questionable about it for Carnell Tate. In fact, all starters fully cleared to go tonight against the Hoosiers.
About time. I mean, we've here's the joke. We don't know if that means anything, but we can assume that it means good things for Ohio State. Clearly, what Ryan Day said on Tuesday about the advancement in the health situation for Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith came to fruition because, as you said, neither of them are even listed as questionable, not even doubtful, not even probable, because that doesn't happen in college. But it's a big deal for Ohio State to come into this game fully healthy, fully operational, and then we'll see exactly what that means for Julian Sayin in this offense. But from a confidence standpoint, if you're the quarterback coming into this game against the number 2 defense in the country, you would sure like to have your dudes out there, and Julian will have them. Yeah,
and he had them a week ago, and I thought, Berm, we've talked about it a little bit, that Carnell Tate looked better than I could have imagined. Everything for that 4 weeks basically away from game action worked out perfectly for him. Jeremiah, I thought, he certainly looked not quite 100% by human standards, but that's still better than just about everybody else given his alien genetics. So having both of those guys, and it's cold outside, but this is an indoor track. It is known for being fast. They talk about it every year around the NFL Combine. It's been a long time since Ohio State has got to play in here, but those games felt like an annual occurrence. We could see the offense explode. We'd see that the defense would be attacking. So, there shouldn't be any of that concern. And if Ohio State is that fully operational version of itself, I don't think that would bode well for Indiana. That you would hope that there would be one chink in the armor that you could attack, but that doesn't exist right now.
No, I mean, Indiana has proven all year they're very well-rounded. They stop the run, they stop the pass, they score, they run, they pass, they do everything. So for Ohio State, it's just about playing your game. If you go into this and you worry about what Indiana's statistics are or what Indiana's accomplished or who they beat or where they went, none of that stuff matters today. But also what doesn't matter, and I said it on Tuesdays, last year's game against Indiana doesn't matter. This is a very different Hoosiers team. Anybody who played in that game for Ohio State needs to eliminate that from their mind and not consider that this is a 38-15 type of matchup. You have to look at it. I mean, there's all these weird metrics going on around college football. ESPN has this some metric about
the FPI.
There's the quality game score.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about how Indiana was favored according to the FPI.
Indiana is favored according to the FPI, which stands for the Football Something Index. I don't know what the P stands for. I don't even know if the F stands for football. I just assume. But there was a quality game score, and this game had a 99.98 score, which according to ESPN is the highest score of any pregame for
That's a lot of numbers, man.
Any time that in the history of that index, which is dated back 22 years. So the closer we get to game time, you start to think hey, maybe this is going to tighten up. Austin had a dream that Indiana won this game 26-7 last night, he said. So, take that into consideration. I don't know if it means anything, but I guess the key for me, first thing first for Ohio State, is in a game like this.
Why'd you have to tell people that?
No,
I told you that in confidence.
It's funny. But the point is, Indiana is going to come out and they're going to try to throw haymakers early. This is not a team, I think, that's going to walk into this game and try and feel out the Buckeyes. They know that they're at a talent disadvantage, but they also have probably a confidence about them that maybe they don't need to have in this game or deserve to have in this game. But that's not going to stop them. Kurt Cignetta's done a great job putting that team into the space, in the mind space where they think they can beat anyone. And Ohio State needs to be prepared for that early because the Indiana crowd, which will probably be 50-50, I'd assume, in this game, maybe a little bit slanted towards Ohio State because there's just so many more Buckeyes fans in the world. But you just got to come out and be ready for that first punch from Indiana. That to me is key number one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be as close to 50-50 as probably we've ever seen for a Big Ten championship game here, which is a credit to Indiana. They don't have to travel far. Most of their fans already live here, but there's a ton of Ohio State fans as well. I know that they've been, looking to pick up tickets. A bunch of them were already in downtown Indianapolis on Friday night getting ready for this game. And, as I mentioned it on Friday on the bonus beat with Television's Adam King, it's 5 years without Ohio State getting to Indianapolis feels like the decades that it takes for Indiana. It is a different standard. It's a different expectation for these programs. And so, Ryan Day has won this game twice, but it has been so long, that I think that he's probably at the top of this list, of guys that want to prove something today. And we know that Caden Curry does too, that Kenyatta Jackson, Caleb Downs, they don't have Big Ten championship rings. But, I think that Ryan Day will, as he's accumulating this infinity gauntlet, I think he's going to coach this one aggressively because why wouldn't you? You're going to have a bye. You're not going to play again until either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, depending on the way that all shakes out. You win, you don't play until January 1st in the Rose Bowl. So you'd have plenty of time to get healthy. You don't have to hold anything back here. It does feel like Ohio State Birm really wants the top seed because that gives you a little bit of control over where your semifinal game would be. If you're number one, you're the only one that can say we would like to play in the Fiesta Bowl or the Peach Bowl. My understanding would be the Fiesta Bowl. But if you want to have control over that and get the hardware, you got to go out and take care of a really good team. I think Indiana is that.
Yeah, there's just no reason not to come out swinging here if you're Ohio State. The reality is this game matters. It is, again, a number 1 versus number 2 matchup. That in itself is historic in this venue, this game. But for Ryan Day, you don't want to limp into the playoffs. And a loss, even though it won't knock you out of an off week or a bye week, it is still going to put you in a mind space where you feel like you have to go back to the drawing board after this game. And so you want that momentum. A year ago, all the teams that had the bye week lost in the semifinals of the playoff or the quarterfinals, and that ultimately means nothing. But it's not like the extra week off is going to do that much for your health. It's not going to do that much. But the mindset of coming into this game with a loss or exiting this game with a loss, I think is something that would be a bigger hurdle. Because this team, as we've heard and talked about, Ohio State has not been challenged this year. Everyone expects that to happen tonight. And if it does, you want to prove to yourselves, and Ryan Day wants his team to prove to themselves that, hey, we can handle that too. We've been great all year, haven't had to handle adversity, but if it comes, we're there. And I mean second half deficits, having to come back, claw back at the end, et cetera.
These days where we can watch the pregame shows, really, I don't want it. It's annoying because I'm told, basically secondhand about the narratives that exist about Ohio State. And then they rattle me a little bit, and I don't understand where they come from. And then to hear it directly where it's like, well, Indiana's battle tested. They've been behind in the second half. They've had to face this adversity. They proved themselves on the road against Penn State. Well, how did they get there?
Yeah.
By playing poorly. Was Ohio State supposed to throw away some first halves of games? We've been critical of slow starts that lasted one quarter or even a week ago, falling behind 6-0 in the Big House. And it's
nobody gives them credit for coming behind behind in the first quarter.
Pretty sure that's difficult. If you give up a touchdown or give up a score on the opening possession and then you immediately throw an intercept, you're getting punched in the face.
Especially by Michigan in that game with everything that's happened in the last 4 years. To bounce back from that as quickly as they did is an indicator that this team knows how to handle it.
It's there's no requirement to win a national championship. You have had to come from behind in the second half of the game or escape by the skin of your teeth on the road against Penn State. That's not how any of this works. If you're good enough that never happens to you, I don't think that they're going to withhold the trophy and be like, we just don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll happen. I think that there's a very good chance that Indiana can take this game deep into the second half. They're the number 2 defense in the country. They have a Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback. They have really good wide receivers. All these things are true. I still think across the board that we'll not be able to match up in all 3 phases with Ohio State. But the good news is we get to find out. I'm pretty confident that after the game, the notebook that I'll be covering this time will be a win, and the one that was in my dream that really sucked, I'm not going to have to do that again.
Let's back out here, or just zoom in here, I guess.
I can't go any further.
Let's zoom in. We're talking about this from a 3,000-foot perspective. Let's dial in here. Schematically, game scheme, gameplay-wise, what is one thing that you think will ultimately decide who wins or loses this 1 versus 2 match?
Yeah, it's always easy to just go right to the trenches, but more specifically, if Ohio State runs the ball against Indiana like it did against Michigan, I think it'll win comfortably. It's a really remarkable stat. I was frankly surprised when I saw it. I did not watch every single Indiana game, obviously, but to only give up more than 100 yards rushing twice all season, and one of them being in week 1 in the opener, is pretty remarkable. They've been consistent. They've been disciplined. They've been well. They must be again, didn't watch all 12 games. They must be sure-handed tacklers. It's not that they're doing this with truly superior athletes on a week-by-week basis, but they've met every challenge so far. And as you alluded to the last couple of days, Indiana has been really successful, and they've created chaos, and they've shut down the run, and they've generated some tackles for loss and pressure in the backfield. They're doing that without what you'd consider 5-star elite talents on the defensive line. Well, this is one of the best offensive lines in America, whether you believe the Big Ten all-conference voting or the Joe Moore Award panelists, whatever. I know what I've seen as this year has gone on. Those 5 guys played a hell of a game last week in the Big House, and if they do that against Indiana today, I think that ability to run the football will be the difference maker, because that will also mean probably a lot of open opportunities off play action for Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. And that would be scary if I had played in the Indiana secondary.
Yeah, I'm interested from an Ohio State perspective, because the run game is going to be important, as it always is, just from a game control standpoint. But last week we saw more of Bo Jackson than we've seen at any point this season. This game today, I think Indiana will blitz a lot more. Or they try to create free runners from their linebackers. It's going to be really important if Bo Jackson's out there that much to make sure that he's in a mindset where his pass protection is on point. Julian Sain is as good as anybody in the country, recognizing and communicating. But if you don't block the guy, if you don't get a hand on the guy, that's a problem. I don't think this is like a game where Ohio State's passing offense is going to be stymied by the pass rush of the defensive line necessarily. I think it's the other guys. And so who's back there protecting Julian? Is he able to escape the pocket here and there? I think that ultimately is going to be what really sets the tone for the offense here, and to eliminate any possibility of Indiana getting some early momentum with like a couple sacks in a row.
Sure.
Or a couple stops in a row, because Ohio State has punted fewer times than anybody in the country. That's not a surprise. They're going to punt today more than they have in any game this year. I mean,
it's a bonus bold prediction.
If I'm going to make a bold P, but that's maybe like 3 punts, right? So it's not that many, but you want to make sure that those happen in parts of the game where you're Ohio State, that you're not giving up yardage, where you're not giving up field position, where you're not losing that battle, because that's how Indiana's going to have to win this game, is short fields and getting Ohio State off the field on 3 and outs, which no one's really been able to do all year.
Well, the activity and the noise around here in Lucas Oil Stadium is picking up. The first wave of Buckeyes, some of the walk-ons, some of the freshmen are in the building right now. So, and you can feel it around downtown Indianapolis. There's a good vibe down here. Expecting a banger. Number 1 versus number 2 is almost here. Ohio State, again, is fully healthy according to that status report. We'll see if that starting lineup is intact at 8 o'clock on Fox when they get out there for that kickoff against Indiana. Can't wait for it afterwards on 97.1 The Fan's YouTube channel, 10 TV's YouTube channel, 10 TV Plus, everywhere else that you get the content. There will be snap judgments, and we will have the notebook. We'll see what that looks like when we get there. Enjoy the game, folks. It is a championship showdown. Number 1 versus number 2. What more could you possibly ask for? He's Birm. I'm Austin. We'll talk to you afterwards.